What is happening, guys? It is Zach with the Gamer Kit coming to you with another episode of our weekly podcast. Now, joining me, as always, are my lovely compatriots. Feel free to wave a hand, say hello.
Hey everyone.
There you go.
Hey.
There you go. That's good.
Hey there.
If just let us know how our audio is. If everything's sounding good, that will be good. And I made sure to have it on mute in my browser this time, so it's not gonna get some feedback for you guys. So that's good.
No,
but
nice.
so little known thing happened last week. Little thing, minor event, nothing too crazy.
Pretty well kept secret, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anything of note really happened. Um, which some people might actually believe given the conferences, but that's okay. We'll reserve our judgment. But yeah, something called E3, I believe, happened last week. So yeah,
Pretty minor little thing, little tiny little game thingy.
yeah, exactly. So I figured this week we'd take a look through maybe not all the conferences, but some of the more prominent ones. As previously stated, some of them were kind of duds, so we might skim through those relatively quickly or just skip over them altogether. Um, I think we'll go chronologically and then go on from there. So Matt, if you would like to start the serve.
Sure. So yeah, because I have a lot of very comprehensive notes in here. I even threw in notes about the Summer Game Fest kickoff event that happened just before E3. Short little thing where they just announced a lot of games. There were a lot there. Not a whole lot that was super notable. Some pretty decent stuff. There's a new Metal Slug. Death Stranding is coming to PS5 with a director's cut. A few cool little indie-like games like Sable got shown off. Solar Ash continues to look amazing. Uh, Things like that. The biggest thing that happened, of course, at the Summer Game Fest kickoff is that Elden Ring is
Is
alive,
a thing.
happening.
Yeah.
It's here. They showed the game. They showed the gameplay. It's coming out in January 21st.
Yeah.
And I personally, as someone who doesn't really play a lot of From Software's games, I was just really surprised at the announcement because I remember a couple months ago, like a leaked trailer of the game came
Yeah.
out, like an off cam, like filmed off a camera
Mhm.
footage, and I remember seeing that and thinking, eh. But seeing the trailer here at Summer Game Fest, I just kind of was like, wow, that looks really, really good, and I'm very surprised that it's coming out so soon. It's coming out in January,
Mhm.
but it looks great, and obviously that blew up the internet when it was announced. Um, and why not? People have been waiting years for it. We've talked about it, but there's a whole YouTube channel that was dedicated to every single
Yes.
day
Elden Ring
letting
daily
people know if there
update.
was
Yes.
any news on it. So now there's finally footage, and it looks great. I think it looks great.
No, yeah, I think it looks pretty solid. What's it called? I did as someone who's played all of them. Um, it does. It sounds like exactly like Dark Souls. Like the lore is like hilarious. They're like, there's a ring, and it's like dark, and you have to like fight like the lords or like something like that. It's like very similar to how Dark Souls is. I get it could be like a spiritual successor. I was saying it looks like Dark Souls lore with kind of like not necessarily the same like counter focused combat that Sekiro has, but more like flashy like jumps and flips and kicks and everything like that aesthetic. Yeah, I mean, gameplay wise, it should be really fun, as long as they don't put in too many swamp areas, which I did notice a few in that trailer, which makes me very nervous. Um, most Dark Souls, I was about to say Dragon Ball Z, most Dark Souls players know how swamp areas are the bane of every Dark Souls game ever, and they are awful, and they always put poison in said swamp areas, and it is the worst thing.
Jeez.
But
I mean, sounds great. Sounds like plenty of
But
fun.
exactly, I'm sure it's gonna turn out great, and I am still excited for it, regardless of those reservations. Rebecca, were you
Yeah, I just
raising
want
your
to know
hand?
what do you. Yes, I'm raising my hand now.
Okay.
uh, I just want to know, what do you guys think about that release timeline? Do you think there's any chance it's actually going to be like that release date, like even a little bit?
To be completely honest, given that we are still kind of slowly getting out of COVID, and given that the industry has been hit with what I like to call the cyberpunk effect, because, a lot of games were getting delayed in lieu of cyberpunk, I am genuinely at this point in the boat of, if a game's release date is more than a month away, I don't trust it. So I think just with every other game, there is a very real chance it could get delayed. From what was shown, it looked pretty finished.
Yeah,
it looked like it was ready to go, but given the conditions with which we're living and the conditions with which the game industry is in, anything could conceivably happen.
Exactly, yeah. But it has been in, I'm trying to think how long it's already been in, I mean, that doesn't mean anything apparently anymore. But it has been in development for a decent amount of time, I believe. And like realistically, it's not. It wasn't. It's hyped up, and like the devs themselves haven't like hyped the game up. I feel like the game is only hyped up because it's like, oh, it's from the people who made like Dark Souls, but it's not hyped up in the sense of like they're making all these claims of what they want to do about this like incredibly like comprehensive game that has like a ton of like stuff thrown into it. It's more just like people are excited because it's probably just going to be another like Dark Souls like game with some newish elements, which I think is a lot more achievable than, say, again, just to use the Cyberpunk example, than just like the Cyberpunk type thing, trying to cover like a whole bunch of different genres like all at once. So
right. I mean, the last time there was a Dark Souls-like game with a few new elements, we had Bloodborne, and that's, one of the best games ever made, in my opinion.
No, yeah.
So that should be good.
Yeah. No, I definitely think it's definitely like not going to be like bad. I'll say that. At least like mechanically, I think. Unless like it would have to be so. It would be almost impossible for them to like flub so hard, like in terms of like gameplay and like mechanically, that I would say it's highly unlikely that it's going to be broken in that sense, at least on release. It could be like in one. You guys played one, right? Dark Souls 1, or have any of you played Dark Souls 1 or no?
Oh, but I've seen it.
No, do you remember?
I played some of the remake. I don't know if that counts.
I mean, kind of. Actually, yeah, because they didn't update it, and people were heated because they didn't update it for the remake. You know how in Izalith, when you go down into, like, the flaming area, and there's just a bunch of copy-pasted, like, Taurus demons and stuff, like, all on, like, a line, like, zigzagging, like, back there? That's when they were, like, running out of time, and they were just like, alright, just throw that stuff in there. But, But yeah, no, I definitely have high hopes for it. I think something good should come out of it, to be sure.
For sure, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the most exciting thing about Game Fest. Now into the proper E3 conferences. Some of them I'll skim. Some of them we'll obviously talk a little bit deeper on. It really depends on how much they gave us to chew over. The first one was the Ubisoft Forward event, which, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hate it. I kind of expected that I was going to not like it at all, but it was actually kind of okay. Maybe, I said this before, maybe I'm so used to EA being the first E3 conference and them just kind of stinking up the joint that I expected this one to, like, start slow, but it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, running through what they showed off, Rainbow Six Extraction, which looks fine. I'm not really a big Tom Clancy guy, but the game looks decent enough. Rocksmith Plus, I'm actually, as a big music game fan, I'm just happy to see that thing freaking persist. I'm just happy to see more Rocksmith. Riders Republic is one of their new extreme sports game type things, and it actually looks pretty fun now that they actually showed off some gameplay of it. They did their obvious, talk about Rainbow Six Siege getting crossplay and stuff like that. They had a short little animated trailer that just kind of was a time waster for me. a few updates on some live games like For Honor, Trackmania, Brawlhalla, stuff like that. But they did condense it together, which I was happy about. They didn't waste too much time on that. Some stuff about Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I kind of am surprised that game is still going because I heard it was really bad, but good for them, I suppose. Just Dance 2022, woo! Some stuff about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They're, just announcing a few more expansions and how that game's going to keep getting support, which I don't really play Assassin's Creed, so that's more like a cool for the people who like the series kind of thing and for people who like that game. Then there was the time waster of them talking about the Mythic Quest TV show and the Werewolves Within movie. I don't know about you guys, but I personally don't care when they talk about TV shows or movies at a video game press conference, so I just kind of tuned out at that point. But near the end, it kind of picked back up because they had another Far Cry 6 showing, which it wasn't really gameplay, but they had shown gameplay beforehand, so I wasn't really as peeved about it. And even as someone who doesn't really play Far Cry, the trailer seemed pretty tensing, pretty interesting, and I thought it was cool that they announced that post-launch season pass that's going to have the mode or the story where you could play as all the old Far Cry villains, like Voss and Pagan and stuff like that. That seemed pretty cool.
I saw on what's it called? Because I follow the actor who played Voss's Instagram, Michael Mando or whatever, and he's been posting some Voss related, or he did recently just post some Voss related content. I heard some there's a big fan push to get either a game or some other form of media focused around Voss, and it has been for years, but I feel like that has reignited that kind of fervor, we'll say, because his performance was just so impeccable. It really was almost movie in the game, and he's an awesome actor.
Right.
But yeah, I am excited to see.
A lot of people like Voss as a villain too.
Yeah, no, because he was his whole. Well, in some of the analyses videos, they say that he's a villain, but his whole arc in the game is him trying to warn you about his sister and how she's going to kill you, but because he's nuts, he does it in a rather not so friendly way. He doesn't explain it quite well, we'll say.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, his performance is amazing, and I do hope that there's more. We'll get more of him in that mode, so that's good.
Word. Yeah. For sure.
And
then they pretty much go.
No, you keep going.
Oh, there were only a few more things they showed after that. One of the big things was Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which was leaked out beforehand. Nintendo themselves posted the link to the page on their own website, so not even they could keep their secret. But honestly, at first it was kind of weird seeing a pre-rendered CGI Nintendo trailer, but then they did show some actual gameplay for it, and I thought it looked interesting. I played some of the original game, and I couldn't get into it because I'm not really into RTS games like that, but it was a cool concept. And this one does look like it's taking the gameplay in a few new, interesting directions. It kind of looked a little more action-focused, which was pretty interesting, so I am on board with that game getting a sequel, because I know that was one of those, refreshing, surprise hit, games that a lot of people really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was cool. And I thought it's cool that they're putting those two together, because that's a game I remember playing, this is kind of ridiculous, but when Best Buy used to have those screens, and I would be sitting in Best Buy when my parents were there for 2 hours, and I'd be playing the Rabbids game on the monitor. That's the really memory I have of this game.
It's a combo that I think should not have worked, because when I heard that Mario and Rabbids was going to be a thing, I thought it was just going to be another party game, since you have Mario Party and then you have the Rabbids party games. But then they're no, it's going to be an XCOM game, and I'm just huh? But, it worked.
Yeah.
A lot of people liked that, and it's cool that it's getting a second one, I would say.
Yeah.
And then they closed out the show. The big surprise was
Skull and Bones.
Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Wait, what did you say, Zach?
Skull and Bones.
Oh, you said Skull and Bones. No, that game doesn't exist, and neither does Beyond Good and Evil 2. No, the big surprise was The big surprise was Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. This is a game they announced years and years ago, but now it's finally happening, and they pretty much just showed it with like some in-engine footage, no actual gameplay. But personally, as someone who likes the Avatar movie more than I probably should, I am like cautiously interested to see what the game is gonna be like. Not like I'm sitting here going, like, oh my god, this trailer is amazing, because it was just like in-engine footage anyway. It wasn't really gameplay. But it's a game I've been keeping some tabs on for a few years, so it's nice to see it, just finally surface. And I don't know, I guess I'd like to see more, if anything.
Yeah. I'm interested to see, like, because while that's, I fully support that you're interested in that game, but I was gonna say, like, I don't understand where they're getting like the money to, like, because I'm not seeing like a universal interest or like a global interest in that game. Like, I feel like Avatar is just not, like, with every like new Avatar thing, they've waited like so long to do it. Like with Disney making the park, that was years after the movie. The sequel announced was years after the original movie. Like, I feel like a lot of like the hubbub has like died down to the point where it's like,
oh yeah,
who is throwing money at this game to get it like
no, I agree,
just like
because
James Cameron just sending them like checks, like blank checks to like
it probably is.
I get that. I understand that you like Avatar, and I get it. But I have to say, I watched the movie, and I know I watched the movie, and I could not tell you any character's name in that movie.
Exactly,
if you held a gun to my head,
I agree. Listen. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not the type that gets pretentious about opinions or like does that stuff. I know people don't like the movie, and I'm like, I see why. I've seen the movie multiple times. I could tell you exactly why people don't like the movie. It's Dances with Wolves with blue people, so I get it. But I'm just like, I just have a weird freaking attachment to the movie, so I'm like, I don't know. I like the universe, and I would have liked to see them do more with it if they just actually did something with it and didn't wait so long.
Right.
And I'll be honest, in one of my Discord servers I'm in, when the game was announced, one of my friends said, who was actually asking for an Avatar game.
Yeah.
And even though I like the movie, I'm not saying I was asking for a game. I just was like, well, that seems neat, so maybe I'll look more into it when they show more.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I could probably write an essay on why people don't like Avatar or like something like that. So it's not like I was asking for it. It was more just like, oh, well, that seems kind of something. I might look into that. So, I don't know. Probably, given that supposedly next year is when Avatar 2 is finally coming out, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Maybe the game's just going to be a tie-in to the movie, and it's not going to be very good.
Oh, no.
Who the hell knows? But who the hell knows? It is Ubisoft, but I'd like to see more.
Yeah.
If you don't get to play as a blue person, like a full blue person, not like the fake blue people, then what is the purpose? Yeah. Like, why? Why would you make the game?
To actually control. If you don't get to actually control the weird kinky strand of hair that they have, like,
if you don't get to mate with other blue people by touching ponytails, that game deserves a 0.
Yeah, hard skip.
Exactly, yeah. No, they need like an attachment like the Wii Zapper, except it's just a ponytail with a bunch of like phalanges.
You put the ponytail in the controller.
And you could connect to other players' worlds, but you still have to be in the same space because you have to make your ponytails mate to like connect. That's the online feature. That'd be great.
Oh my god!
I feel like they're trying to go back to when, like, for example, like SpongeBob movie video game came out, like. They're attacking the power of Juju and all these and Rocket Power, which were cool games at the time, because that I think in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, that was like a thing. But now I think they're trying to go back to that, and it's like, why are you trying to make movies into?
Yeah, well, because they have such a stigma for what was it? I know one of the big ones was one of the big bad ones, because there was a decent amount of good ones. but like a lot of the Marvel tie-in games were just like atrocious. Like the Captain America game
Yeah.
was like foul.
I mean, except for the Arkham games, I would say 99% of superhero games are just not good in
Yeah.
the first place.
Yeah, because they're just
It's like Arkham and like
Interesting.
some of the Spider-Man games are like
Right.
really
And that's
good.
basically it.
yeah.
I think well,
I mean,
well
how many
now I think in
superhero
general
games
it's
are
a
there?
little easier. How many Spider-Man games? Oh, there's
No,
way
like
too many.
like superhero
And-
games in general, because I feel like
Oh
There's
god.
so many bad Superman ones. Oh my
right,
god.
yeah,
Plenty.
there's a bunch of stinker like
I-
Superman ones, but those are more from like the 64 era. I feel like within like
Yeah, I was gonna
recent
say I
years,
feel like it
there haven't been that many. I don't
I
know.
was gonna say I'm sure you're just saying the same thing, but I was gonna say I feel like it should be easier to do licensed games these days because it feels like developers who do license games aren't releasing them specifically to tie in with a movie, so therefore they have time. Like one of the reasons that Insomniac Games' Spider-Man game was so fantastic is because they didn't rush it out to tie in with, like Spider-Man Homecoming or, they didn't like specifically tie it in with something like Into the Spider-Verse or Far From Home. They just made the game they wanted to make without having to feel like it was bogged down by being a tie-in. So I think that's why, like, on paper it should be easier to do licensed games these days because they're not necessarily tie-ins.
Yeah.
Right.
Even something like Jedi Fallen Order is not really a tie-in to any of the
It's just
Star
an
Wars movies that were
in-universe
coming out.
game. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that
So, I
allows
mean-
for a lot more flexibility for sure.
yeah, for sure. Because that's always been one of the problems with licensed games in general. They're usually rushed out so that they could tie in with some kind of
Yeah, with the
intertwining
with the
piece
release
of
date
media.
the film too, as well.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't get as much time to push as far as they want to with their games.
For sure.
But yeah, Ubisoft's conference not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Still a lot of pacing issues, like they spent way too much time talking, but otherwise I mean, I didn't hate it, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it could not have been as bad as the next conference, which was Gearbox. I could sum that up for you in about 2 minutes. Time me. Literally, it was. Are you actually timing me right now, Zach?
Absolutely. You said it.
All right.
Hey, 2
Say
minutes,
go.
go.
Let me
Yeah.
say go when the timer starts.
All right, go.
All right, so they announced a bunch of stuff about the Borderlands movie. They were talking about it for 50 million minutes. They announced Homeworld three separate times with 3 interspliced moments. They had a trailer for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands that was already shown at Summer Game Fest. Tribes of Midgard got a trailer that was already shown at Summer Game Fest. And Godfall, the PS5 exclusive that could only run on PS5 supposedly, is now coming to PS4. Done.
That
That's it.
was 24 seconds. So
Weird.
significantly better time. That's so.
I'm
That's-
honestly a little disappointed in Gearbox, I have to say.
Yeah.
Especially because, I mean, I actually did enjoy Borderlands 3. Like, I 100%ed it. I 100%ed all the DLC. And it's just like, that you're just going to show me Tiny Tina again? Like, give me something else. Come on. Literally anything.
Yeah. No, I feel like they're.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I had just wrote in my notes this was one of the worst E3 showcases I've seen, mostly because it didn't need to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Even like the way that they got near the end, outside of the Borderlands movie stuff, when they were like Godfall coming to PS4, I kind of just went, really? Like I was like, I get it. It's one of those things where it's like more people get to play it on another platform. You don't have to go out and pay $500 for it. But I was like, one, that seems like such a strange thing to hype at an E3 conference that a next-gen launch game is coming to a last-gen console. Especially one not a lot of people seem to like very much.
Yeah.
And, again, when I read that headline that said, oh, this game, Godfall, is only possible on next-gen consoles, and now it's coming to a last-gen one, and I'm like,
Yeah, they're just,
Huh?
they were just lying. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
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 It was
I'm
just
like-
trying to get
I'm
a
like-
push to sell more PS5s, which they can't even sell because they don't have the stock to sell the PS5s. So
exactly.
yeah,
So I was just like, do people forget lying to your customers is not a good thing?
yeah, exactly. Just blatantly lying. Yeah, no, it's yeah, and that goes back to what you were talking about. How like I feel like it's so like It's not. I guess it is kind of insulting in some ways to just come to your like to the video game show and talk about how awesome it is that you're like making a Borderlands movie or something, and like do like whatever. By the way, the casting of which looks
Oh my
very
God.
bad. All right, it looks so bad.
Kevin, what?
Yeah.
Why were they do Roland like this?
Yeah,
It's
they're
so
making.
mean.
Did you hear about that, Matt? They made and Layla. They chose Kevin Hart as Roland. You know, Roland.
Yeah,
the famous,
I only heard about
famous
that because they
comedic
spent.
relief character and not
Yeah.
stoic soldier man in Borderlands.
I only
Roland, maybe one of
I
the
only
only
know about
characters
that
that's played
because
straight at all.
they spent like 15 minutes of the showcase talking to Kevin Hart. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of like, if he's played the games, great, but is Kevin Hart even a gamer? Like,
No, I mean,
was this something where he
Like,
picked it because like, oh, yeah.
no,
Like, that
it's
doesn't bother me if somebody isn't like a gamer. It's just like why did they pick him of all people?
because he's
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess
Casting
it's
is
not a
weird
bothering
too,
thing,
like-
but it's just like, because it makes me, I think it's more because I'm imagining to myself, maybe this is just me being the person who puts weird imagery in my head, but I'm picturing the imagery of what Kevin Hart would be like if he was actually playing Borderlands, like what he would actually look like sitting on the couch playing Borderlands. It's that imagery just, I'm trying to picture in my head what that looks like.
Yeah, I find it hard to picture Kevin Hart like sitting like period. It's just a weird image.
Right.
He's so full
That's
of
a
like
good
energy. I just
I
can't.
just imagine.
It's bizarre. What's up?
I just imagined him from that freaking what's that commercial that when he does like the almond milk commercial. I didn't know cashew milk was a milk.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I see him as. I don't see him as like a Borderlands or anything like
Yeah.
that.
That was weird.
Also, like,
I mean-
I hate to be the older actresses in Hollywood can't
Yeah.
play younger characters,
I'm glad
but
you
Lilith
said it
is
'cause I didn't
not.
want to say it. I didn't
Lilith
want to
is
say it, and
not
I'm glad you
Kate
covered that.
Blanchett. She's not.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. No, because she's.
and Jamie Lee Curtis. Tatisha Tannis is like 40. What is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Wait, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it too?
It's weird.
Who's
Yeah,
she
and she's
playing?
gonna be Tannis, which is
she-
insane.
I'm trying to remember who Tannis was.
Tannis is like the mean doctor scientist lady who's like on your side, but
It doesn't narrow
she.
it down. There's so many of those.
I know, but
What's it called?
if you look up a picture of her, you'll know which one she is. But
yeah.
Tannis
No,
is like
yeah,
mean.
This is something I thought of
bizarre.
also.
Like it's
I
too.
thought of this
They're too
beyond the
old.
casting.
They are.
I thought of this beyond the casting, but one of the things that made the actual E3 worse with all the Borderlands talk is that probably at least 20 to 25 minutes of the show was Borderlands talk from behind the scenes with no footage of the movie. I'm like, it's already like I said earlier, I personally don't get excited when I hear about movies or TV shows at a game press conference, but it's even weirder to me when you're going to spend so much time talking about a movie you're making with no footage of the movie. It was Randy Pitchford, that's his name, I think,
Oh, yes.
walking around the set, talking to the actors, and the most that they interspliced was footage from the games. So I was just like, what?
Did he
This
do
is your
Did he
E3.
do any magic tricks? I know he loves doing that kind of thing.
I'll be honest, when that stuff was happening, I was outside searching for mole rats, so I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Honestly,
Very
we just put Nintendo because it just means everything is.
We'll get to Nintendo, I
Yes.
promise.
We'll get to
have a
Nintendo
lot
when we
to
get to
cover
Nintendo.
before
I just want to say one more
Because
thing about the
trust me,
Borderlands.
Layla, when we get to Nintendo, I will go full Nintendo fanboy.
Yes.
But before we get to that,
I want to say one more
Go
thing,
ahead.
and then we can move on. I promise. The only casting choice that is actually correct is Jack Black should absolutely be Claptrap. That is 100%
Yeah.
right.
I
That is
do
good.
like that idea.
Yeah.
He's like a good actor.
I like that idea.
person.
Yeah. But before we get all the way to... We got a couple to go before Nintendo, most notably, because it was probably one of the bigger ones as well, the Xbox and Bethesda show. Obviously, this was a hugely hyped show. It was 90 minutes long, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. He can't be here at the moment, but Tom said that he thought this was the best Xbox showcase they've done in a while. I personally don't know if it beats 2018 for me. That was probably my favorite Xbox show, but it was pretty good. I would say. Like, it was a pretty solid showing, and I think, especially given some of the other duds we had this E3, it was something where maybe I didn't appreciate it fully in the moment, but kind of like looking back after some of like the bad showings, I was like, well, Xbox and Bethesda did great in that case.
Yeah.
Like, if I could, again, I have all the games here, if I could run through what they had. They started the show finally showing off some Starfield. It was, again, not really gameplay, it was just in-engine footage for like a minute. So I was kind of just like, but, you know, a lot of people have been looking forward to it, so I'm glad that it got confirmed. I'm glad that we, like, got the obvious, you know, it's Xbox and PC exclusive, it's coming out next year, blah, blah, blah. That seemed cool. Stalker 2 was a game a lot of people were pretty much really hyping when they saw it, and I never really played the first Stalker, but this one did look pretty good, so that's cool. I know a lot of people were excited about that. They showed some Back 4 Blood. I personally have not really played the Left 4 Dead series, but this game does look good. And, you know, I'm happy that that is coming out and that it's getting a lot of people excited. Also, shout out to Warner Brothers with a very pro-consumer move. How they're doing that thing where if one person owns the DLC, everyone in the party will be able to play it. I know that seems like it should be standard, but I still like that idea regardless. So thank you, WB Games, for that. They showed something called Contraband, but it was only like a minute-long CGI trailer with no gameplay of like a camera panning around a table, so I have not a single clue what the game could be. Sea of Thieves is getting a Pirates of the Caribbean expansion.
Hey.
Jack Sparrow, baby.
No.
First of all, I mean, I'm just surprised the game's like still going.
No,
but I mean,
fun,
it looks
though,
funny.
promise.
Like it
It's
looks
fun.
kind of like.
No, it's a fun
like,
game.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, maybe it is, and especially with a Jack Sparrow expansion, I mean, that might be the thing that's gonna actually get people into
There were a
that
lot
game.
of,
So
like,
that's cool.
Yeah, there were a lot of like other like little things in the trailer that have people like speculating on like new. Well, we know there's going to be new mobs, which is nice because fighting skeletons over and over is kind of whatever. And potentially there will be like a new ship type because the Flying Dutchman or whatever that tentacle man Jones David
Davy Jones.
David Joannis
David Jones.
Mr. Jones.
He has Mr. Jones. I mean, he has a boat that has cannons both on above deck and below deck, which is something that hasn't been in the game, which is something a lot of people have been wanting because that means that party sizes can be increased from 4, hopefully maybe to like 6 or something. But yeah, any like, because while the game's definitely fun still, I think it could still benefit from having a little more content. But yeah, that'd be actually a great game to stream potentially.
Yeah, and I think that just seemed like a surprising crossover. Like when I saw Jack Sparrow pop up, I kind of was just like,
what?
huh? Like it wasn't even like a, oh my god. It was more just like Sea of Thieves pops up, and I'm kind of just like, oh okay, like.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's Sea of Thieves, so here's your bathroom break or whatever."
Yeah.
But then Jack Sparrow pops up, and I'm like, "Was not expecting that."
Yeah.
But you know, it was cool. Hopefully that'll be a fun expansion. I know people have started to, you know, like that game. It's gotten better, so hopefully that's only going to help it. Then they showed off that a bunch of Yakuza games are coming to Game Pass, which is cool because Game Pass is just getting more and more loaded by the minute. And obviously a lot of people loved Yakuza Like a Dragon, so that's going to be a great addition to Game Pass. They showed off Battlefield 2042 gameplay. A lot of people were very excited about that. They thought it looked great. Personally, I mean, it just looked like more Battlefield to me. Like, it looked good, but I wasn't like, you know, going over the top about it. And I mean, like, personally, as someone who doesn't really play a lot of multiplayer-only games, I can't feel like this footage didn't make me want to go out and spend $70 on a multiplayer-only Battlefield game. Like, I get why people... It's gonna be 70. Like, that's also my problem with it. Like, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, it's... like, I had someone who compared Battlefield being 70 to Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart being 70, which...
Ratchet & Clank is, like...
don't correlate whatsoever.
Yeah. It's too, like... they're two like totally different experiences, and they're also for like two, I would say, distinctly different types of people even.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But the thing that I mostly have a problem with Battlefield being 70 is when you say it's multiplayer only, even if people say that the Battlefield campaigns are never good, and that's fine, I get why they would cut it out. Being multiplayer only with no campaign, and at the moment not even like a battle royale thing, seems like such a bare bones kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when you say multiplayer only to me, I imagine either free-to-play game with microtransactions or a $20 game. I don't imagine a game that is going to be $70 on next-gen consoles that has the most bare bones of features. Like, that sounds bare bones to me. And I know, like, the person who tried to compare it to Ratchet & Clank to me was like, oh, Ratchet & Clank is a 15 to 20-hour game, but Battlefield, you get 200 hours in. And personally, hot take, I think that gameplay hours are the most overvalued metric of a game's quality, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
It depends on the game itself.
But like that,
so.
Yeah,
I mean,
like that's neither here nor there.
Hours, but 190 of those hours are just garbage. Like, there's nothing
exactly.
there.
Like, I'd rather the excellent 15 to 20 hours that is Rift Apart than 200 repetitive hours of something that I'm not enjoying. So, but the point is, it's not even about the gameplay hours to me. It's, like I said, when you say multiplayer only with no campaign, no battle royale, it's the most bare bones thing ever. I don't imagine a $70 game on next-gen consoles. I imagine a free-to-play or, like, at most, a budget-priced game at, like, $20. But instead, they're treating this like it's going to be a AAA $70 game. And that, to me, is where I'm just like,
Yeah. No, that is kind
But, I mean, I guess, people are happy the game looks good, so good for that. I'm glad people are excited for it. It's just, on a personal level, I have no interest in paying $70 for a game like that. But moving away from my rantings and ravings about Battlefield, they showed 12 minutes, which is, sorry, Rebecca just posted in our chat that she has a discussion for 12 minutes, and I'm totally willing to hear it. I think the concept of that game looks really cool. I couldn't tell from the footage what was gameplay and what's not, but I've been interested in hearing about that game for a while because it seems like a really unique concept. But I'll let Rebecca take the floor for 12 minutes.
Yeah, for 12 minutes, exactly. No, I'm just kidding. Don't time me.
Literally for 12 minutes.
Don't do it.
Minutes.
Too much pressure, no. But
go ahead. You mentioned that you have something.
Okay, so as we know, Arcane, because that's Bethesda, part of the Bethesda deal, that's technically owned by Xbox now, and they're making Deathloop. The Outer Wilds came out on Game Pass, and that was a Microsoft game, and that was like, what, a year ago? 2 years ago? And that was also a Groundhog Day thing. And now they're doing 12 minutes, which is also a Groundhog Day thing. What is going on with Microsoft and Groundhog Day? Why are they doing this so much?
Maybe there's a conspiracy
to their
with
defense,
Bill Murray.
I
think Bill Murray has someone.
To their defense, I think that 12 minutes was announced before Deathloop, and Deathloop, we don't know when it's coming to Xbox at this point. But even so, I'm like, yeah, people are loving Groundhog Day stuff right now.
I mean, I'm not saying
I don't know. I guess
the
it's
Outer Wilds.
fun.
It's a good game, but I just, what's going on with this?
I don't know. People, I guess, are just having fun with it. I don't know. It seems cool, but I don't know what's gameplay and what's not from what they showed, so I don't know much of what it's like. Who knows? I guess we'll see soon enough.
Yeah.
What I do want to see more soon enough, because they showed it a lot, and this is one of the big Microsoft games I'm very excited for. They finally showed Psychonauts 2 more, and it's coming out finally this August, which I'm so happy about. Even as someone who, I tried to get into the first Psychonauts, and, it feels a little dated. I couldn't quite get into it. But this just looks so good, and as someone who just loves platformer games, this game is, the whole time I'm watching it is going, buy me, buy me, buy me. And I'm just like, yeah, I want you. You look good. You look really good. So that was like the moment where as soon as it popped up, I was like, oh yeah, now I'm happy. Like that was like one of my big moments of like, yes, I can't wait for this.
Hmm.
I can't wait for Psychonauts 2. I'm sorry, I had to rave for a bit. I'm so excited for that game.
Yeah.
Do we know if Psychonauts 2 is single or multiplayer? Do we have any information on that?
It's probably single because the original game was single player.
Was
I
it-
mean, maybe there is
Right.
going to be a multiplayer component. I'm not 100% sure. But I imagine it's going to be single player because the first game was.
I mean, I could see some like couch co-op things with
That's
this.
what I
That's
was
all.
wondering
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of platformer franchises and stuff like that seem to like work well for stuff like that. So I could see Psychonauts 2 having something like that. And if it does, that would be really fun. That's a game I feel like my brother and I would really, really just have a lot of fun with.
I mean,
Hopefully
I hope
it does. Yeah, same here.
I'll be honest with you.
But yeah, that was like one of my big highlights. No, go ahead.
All right. So, to be honest with you, lately I've been seeing a lot of stuff for Xbox I would play. Like I'm a platformer. I'm into more action adventure type like Nintendo games pretty much and indies. But I've been seeing like Psychonauts 2, and then just like a lot of games that I've just been like looking at. I'm like, I might want an Xbox. Because I mean, the last Xbox
Yeah, I was
have
gonna
is
say.
the live one. I don't have the series, so I'm like, and it's
Join
easy to
the
stream with.
dark side.
It's easy to stream with,
Yeah,
supposedly,
like-
right? So like, I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Like I agree. Like actually, even though it's coming out for PS4, Psychonauts 2, I don't feel like it's a game that would play as well on a last gen console as a next gen, even if platformers don't like generally have that kind of thing going for them. So to be honest, I feel like if I could think of the one game that's selling me on a Series X and making me want a Series X, to be honest, it's actually probably Psychonauts 2. Like there are other games, of course, but I feel like if I'm really thinking of like what's a game that I want to get a Series X for, it's probably Psychonauts 2. Like that would be the game that would really sell me on getting a Series X. Like at the moment I'm happy enough with my Xbox One, but like I want to get a Series X at some point, and I feel like that is like one of the big games that's really pushing me in the direction of like, yeah, I want to get a Series X. I want to play Psychonauts 2 on Series X. It'll look better, it'll play better, it'll feel better. I'm with it. I'm ready.
I mean, if nothing else, they're really justifying more and more and more a Game Pass Ultimate purchase. Like
Yeah.
every single,
Yeah.
like really.
Yeah.
And I don't
Like-
see. I hate to do console wars, but I don't see like PlayStation doing anything even close to that with PS Now, like
I don't think.
or PS Plus or whatever it is.
I don't think they could like.
I keep
cover
saying it. I think that
the costs in the same way that like Microsoft can, in the sense
Right.
that like Game Pass might like short term make them less money, but long term it's great PR, and it's going to, by being great PR, it's going to get more people to get into it, and I don't think. Because that's what I watched this video on it, and they were just saying like Sony does not have the buying power that Microsoft does. Microsoft is not just exclusive to video games. Obviously, they make like operating systems. Microsoft is involved in like every aspect of like our everyday lives, pretty much in some way. And Sony just doesn't have that. They
Right.
don't have
Yeah.
the buying power. So yeah,
It's-
I just
it's
don't
the
think
different-
they can. Do
I
something like
yeah. I don't know. It's just it's a little surprising to see Xbox be like, yeah, you're probably getting like a Starfield on Game Pass day one. It's
Yeah.
a $60 game. Who cares? It's
Yeah.
like, wow, that's
Exactly.
wild.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, yeah.
I think it's like Xbox is more like Sony is very traditional. They want to sell their systems, but Xbox I think is very interested in growing Xbox as a brand and not just the system.
Right.
So like cuz I mentioned that with like Tom for example. I was like I think that Xbox really started winning a lot when they stopped trying to sell Xbox the system and they started trying to sell Xbox the brand. And that's what Game Pass has been great for. It's great for getting people into the Xbox ecosystem because it's cheap, it's easy. You basically pay, I think it's like what 10 to 15 a month, so you're paying about
Yeah.
I don't know, like 120 to
For a
180
library of, like,
or whatever a
500
year.
games
So
or
you're
something.
basically, yeah, you're getting like a library of like 600, 700 games for what the cost of what you'd pay for like 2 or 3 games per year. So it's like a perfect deal. And I think that even if that's like one of the things I've been saying, like as Rebecca just brought up, even if this conference doesn't sell you on a Series X or S, I don't think that was the point. I think it was just selling you on the ecosystem, because even if you don't want to get a Series X or a Series S, there's a good chance this conference made you think, oh, I want to get Game Pass. Like, I want to subscribe to Game Pass and be able to play games on Game Pass. So that's what made this conference so successful, the way that it showed so much that might not sell you on a Series X or a Series S, but it sells you on wanting to be a part of the Xbox brand.
Exactly.
And Psychonauts 2 is just one of those examples.
Yeah.
And speaking of Game Pass, the next thing they did at the conference, I have in my notes, is that they announced a bunch of Bethesda games for Game Pass. I'm pretty sure they put like, I don't even remember all the games that they announced for it, but like, I'm pretty sure all of the old Fallout games got put onto Game Pass, even like the OG Fallout games and stuff. So Game Pass is just getting loaded, and
It's wild.
I can't give, even as someone who is more into PlayStation and Nintendo, I cannot give Xbox enough credit for what they're doing with Game Pass. Like, Game Pass is just legit. It is just that good. It is so cool.
Yeah.
But then Bethesda took the stage beyond that. They talked about how Doom Eternal's getting its next-gen upgrade, which, awesome. I love Doom Eternal. Can't wait to see how that plays on PS5 and Series X. They showed some non-gameplay trailers for some Fallout 76 expansions. I guess kudos to Bethesda for doing what they can to keep that game alive and fix what was broken before. And then they talked about Elder Scrolls Online getting its Series X and S version. That's something that Bethesda always talks about, so it was just kind of like a, okay, thanks, kind of moment. And then they showed Party Animals, which kind of reminded me a little bit of like Gang Beasts in a way. It was one of those games that looks like stupid, but I'm kind of glad it looks stupid because it just looks so fun. So that's something I would really want to play for sure. They showed that Hades is coming to Xbox. It's also coming to PlayStation, and Hades will also be on Game Pass. I know a lot of people love it. I've played a little bit of it, and even though I'm not big on roguelikes, it is great. So I'm always happy to see that game come to new consoles, and I'm happy to see it have the success that it's had. So that's really cool. Yeah. Good for Hades. Good for us. What are they? Supergiant? Supermassive?
Yeah, Supergiant.
Whatever their names are. Supergiant. Good for them, because they just for years have been doing it with, you know, like Bastion, Transistor, Pyre, now Hades. Just good for them. Good for them.
And also,
then they showed Somerville. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, if Supergiant wants to make me pay, say $15 maybe to get some more Greek gods in there, totally willing to do that, please.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is. Please.
Yeah. No,
yeah, they showed Somerville, which was like a... No, go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
No.
Cut you off again.
You're fine. I think there's a bit of an audio delay, so it's a little weird, but yeah, keep talking.
Okay, so they showed Somerville, which was like a kind of neat-looking, almost indie-like game. I believe that is the one... Some of these I didn't take the deepest notes on, but I believe that's the game that's made by the creator of like Limbo and Inside. I could be wrong on what game it is, but either way, it kind of reminded me of those, so that was very cool. I'm surprised they put this at the middle of the conference, but then they talked about Halo Infinite. I expected that was going to be either the starter or the closer to the show. And I want Halo Infinite to be good, especially because I didn't really like 5 all that much.
I don't think anyone...
The gameplay that they showed does look good. No. I mean, the gameplay they showed looks good. I will say that, and I do think it's a cool thing that they're making the multiplayer like a separate thing that's free to play, because like everyone is all big on Halo multiplayer, so it's cool that they have that. But I feel like a part of me is still naturally going to be skeptical after Halo 5. So I'm just crossing my fingers at this point, and also it doesn't have a proper date. It's still just listed as holiday, which makes me kind of like concerned that it might get delayed again.
Yeah.
We'll see. As it is, I mean, the game, like, it looks good. Like, I can say it definitely is something I will want to play, and that's another game that will push me to want to get a Series X, but I think I'm always going to have that natural air of skepticism because of Halo 5.
Yeah.
So, that's that. Hopefully it's good, though. Then they devoted some time to the Diablo 2 remake. I don't personally play Diablo much, so it kind of flew over my head, but I know people love that game, so that's very cool. A Plaguetal Requiem, I know a lot of people were very excited about that. My brother in particular played and very much enjoyed the first Plaguetal game, so I know he was excited about it. There was no gameplay in the trailer, which, I don't really care for a lot of that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's happening, and I know a lot of people are excited, so great, awesome. That's very cool. Far Cry 6 again, but this time they actually showed some gameplay, which, it still looks good, so that's cool.
I mean, it's Far Cry.
Slime Rancher 2 was a small little game that looked... Yeah, you know Far Cry at this point. Agreed. Slime Rancher 2 looks adorable and silly, but I feel like it's a game I'd play the hell out of.
Slime Rancher 1
Shredders
is so
is a
good.
game that I actually kind of... Is it? I never really played the first one, so... I mean, honestly, 2 looks great, so here's hoping. Shredders is a game that looks really good. I was very surprised. I don't really play snowboarding games, and I know this was mostly in-engine footage, and I'm not sure if it was gameplay or not, but I think that was one of the things I got most excited about. If that game ends up looking half as cool as that in-engine footage, it's going to be really, really fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And Zach, I know will be excited about this one. They showed Atomic Heart, and it looks awesome. Yeah. It looks really, really awesome. Yeah. That's another one that's really, like, pushing me in the Xbox direction. Game looks great.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, for me, like, it very clearly takes, like, a ton of inspiration from BioShock, but that's a good game. So that's totally something I'm okay with. And I know I tweeted at Tom had, like, tweeted at me when it came out. It really does just look like a Russian, like, fever dream. And that's like not something I'm opposed to. I'm really down with, like, a lot of cool, like, imagery and stuff. It'll really, like, immerse you more into the space, which is always really refreshing. And yeah, the gameplay just looks, like, solid and, like, fun and enjoyable. It's just like an adventure game. At its core, I feel like at its, like, barest bones, it is an adventure game, and that is something I feel like we've been lacking a lot of lately, and something I'm super down to, like, get back into.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember just seeing the gameplay and thinking, wow, this looks so dope. It looks so fresh and fun. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I could see why Zach hyped this up. This looks great.
Yeah.
And then right after that, they showed Replaced, which was...
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just putting a bunch of stuff that's just like, maybe Skull and Bones, please?
Skull and Bones isn't coming out. God of War is not coming out.
God of War got moved next year.
Yeah. Resident Evil came out. I mean,
so...
That's good.
I mean, at least you have Atomic Heart to look forward to, so there's that.
That is true.
And then right after that, they showed Replaced, which just looks...
It looks like
cool.
Replaced.
Pardon my French, but that looks... Yeah, it just looks awesome. Like, I still don't know what type of game it is. It's like a platformer beat 'em up, but, like, the aesthetic is so cool, and that's something I would love to play. They showed more of Obsidian's Grounded, which is, that game's been in early access for a bit of time now, so they were just kind of reminding people of it. I always get a laugh out of that, those trailers being so sarcastic and witty. So, I mean, that was fun at least. They showed a little bit for Among Us, because Among Us is coming to Xbox, and I love Among Us, but I just don't know how that game would play on a console. I've already heard it's weird on the Switch, so I can only imagine what it's going to play like with an Xbox or PlayStation controller. But... I love Among Us, so I'm always so I'm always just rooting for that game and hoping for the best for it. I mean, hey, it's fun. It's one of those things where you kind of scoff at it at first, but then you start playing it and you get hooked.
For so long, and it's like, I don't know. I guess it's the same thing with Fall Guys. It's kind of like, there's other things.
I think Among Us is really ideally a game that you play with like your close friends and family, because then you can be like, I know how this person lies, and they are absolutely lying their ass off right now.
Yeah.
I know that because I feel that because I'm about to go full nerd mode, but I have a couple friends that I'm in a Discord server with that I play Among Us with, and we have like actual stats of like win-loss records and stuff like that for when we play Among Us. And it's always funny just having these weird like galaxy brain moments because you know these people that you play with, so you're just like, I know that what you're doing right now is what's happening, so I'm voting you off because I'm used to it. Like, you always do this, so I'm voting you off, and then it's right. So, I mean, that's always a game I'm rooting for. It just kind of sucks that they're always so slow when it comes to new updates. But again, I imagine they're a pretty small team, so it's not like they could move at the speed of light with that stuff. But, you know, I'm always happy for that game doing well, and I'm always rooting for it to keep doing well. So, good for them getting on consoles, even though I can imagine it plays weird on a console. Couple other smaller things that they showed. Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes and Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. I might have even said that first word wrong. Kind of like almost looks like Octopath Traveler in a way. Kind of pretty turn-based game. Not really my type of thing, but cool for people who play that. The Ascent, I think, is like a top-down isometric strategy kind of game. Again, not my thing, but cool for people who like that. They showed Age of Empires 4, which sure a lot of people are going to be excited for that if they enjoyed the game. Seems Rebecca's excited, so awesome. Yes. Happy for you getting that. And then one of the big surprises, Outer Worlds 2. I did not expect that an Outer Worlds 2 was even happening, let alone this soon. There was like a leaked list that had the Outer Worlds 2 on it, but I didn't fully believe it, so I was just kind of like, eh. I did think the trailer was hilarious. Again, Obsidian kind of just like openly acknowledging we have nothing to show of the game, and we could sit here and lie to you about its features, but we're not going to. Like, I was just like, well, I like that sarcasm. That's great.
I know.
I wasn't super into the first one, but I know a lot of people were.
I get
like
why
I couldn't get into
like,
it. But...
I understand why. Like, I get that it's not for everyone, but it really was like all of the things that I really, really loved about New Vegas in particular. But But now we get to sprint instead of just walking everywhere, which is great. That always annoyed me so much. So, you know, it's kind of my ideal game if you think about it.
Yeah, maybe it's the fact that I never really played like most of the Fallout games or like New Vegas, that I just, you know, this was my first time playing something like that I couldn't quite get into it as much as a lot of people did. But I know a lot of people did really enjoy it. It obviously, like, it got nominated for Game of the Year that year. A lot of people thought it was great. So I'm always happy when I see that doing as well as it did. And, you know, I didn't expect that we were going to get a sequel again, especially not this soon, but cool. You know, I'm happy for people who enjoy that game that they're getting a new one. And I'm also happy that we got such a hilarious trailer, because that trailer was that was really fun.
Also,
I love that self-referential kind of humor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know it's a new crew, but also huge ups to the Obsidian team for creating one of the only asexual characters in fiction that isn't like a robot or a plant or an alien. Oh. She's just a person. Very cool.
I didn't even know that, but I love that. So shout out Obsidian.
Yes.
Like, I will give them huge props for that too. That's so dope. So that's a big deal, and Outer Worlds 2 is obviously going to be something people are excited about, rightfully so. After that, they got into some Microsoft Flight Simulator stuff, you know, finally getting a Series X and S release. That's not a game that I play, but I always kind of like seeing the scope of a game like that, and I've heard just like some of the crazy things you can do in that game, and it seems cool. So it's one of those things where like,
is it gonna be this?
I'll ask the developers next time I see them.
Like, I love that.
I'll ask the dev team next time I see them.
They claim it's gonna run as well on console, so.
Hopefully. But, you know, it's cool that it's, you know, doing as well as it did. Because, again, it's always like the scope of that game is so breathtaking, so that's neat. And then they got into Forza Horizon 5, which only surprised me because I thought the next Forza game was going to be a motorsport game, but it's another Horizon game.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people prefer the Horizon games, so cool. And a lot of people were very excited with that footage. Like, it did genuinely look really, really good. So, I mean, it is Forza. You kind of know how it works at this point, but yeah. So, you know, it's still a big thing. It's obviously one of Xbox's gigantic franchises, and, you know, it does well for them. So, good for that franchise, and I mean, the game looks great. Even I think a lot of people that don't generally care for Forza were like, yeah, this looks awesome. So, it's pretty cool that they were able to do something like that. Phil Spencer came out on stage and mentioned Perfect Dark, but showed nothing of the game, and I got sad. But the way that they ended the show was with Redfall, the new arcane shooter, which I think my big problem with that showing is that they ended off the show with a non-gameplay CGI-only trailer for a new IP, and I was kind of just in that moment like, I don't know how to get excited for this. Like, the concept seems cool, but I kind of was just like, I don't know what to make of it when you just showed me a preview for a new animated film from some movie studio or something like that. I was like, I'm sure it's going to be good because Arcane does good work with their games, but I just was like, thanks, I guess.
I mean,
but I mean, you know,
I don't know. When I saw, you know, Dishonored 2 and Prey and what was the Prey DLC thing with like the 5 characters that you can play as, you know, all that stuff. I mean, all of those were cinematic trailers at first, and then you play the actual game and you're like, oh, this is a great game. I love this. Great, cool, very good.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Again, I'm sure, like, there's a very real chance that next year I could eat my shoe and the game comes out and it beats out Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild 2, everything coming out next year and wins Game of the Year, because that's, you know, there's a very real chance that could happen, and stuff like that. I'm sure it's going to end up being great because Arcane is good at what they do, but I think for me, I was just like, I think the way I look at it, if it was a CGI trailer for an established IP, I probably would have thought, like, I wouldn't have thought the same way of it because at least I know what the other games were like, so I could kind of glean something or other. But when it's a new IP, I think it was more just like a thanks, cool kind of thing. So I was just like, you know, I'm sure, chances are, I think it's coming out next year anyway, so we'll probably see gameplay of it very soon anyway. I know a lot of people are going to be excited for the game no matter what, so I guess we'll see. But that was how Microsoft ended their show. Good show, I would say. Like I said, definitely pushed me more in the direction of wanting a Series X. So, in that regard, even if it wasn't my favorite Xbox show, just doing that in and of itself, I'd say was a thumbs up in my book. Yeah. As Layla just said, successful show.
Yeah.
And
if not for the Nintendo show, it would easily be the best show at E3. So
yeah, it would be the winner if not for. It would be the winner if not for Nintendo. Again, the anticipation for Nintendo is still building to talk about that, but we still got Square Enix to talk about because they totally dropped the ball. And I was so disappointed. I kept joking that the fact that I enjoyed a Ubisoft show more than a Square Enix show just shows me how upside down of a world we're living in right now. But Square Enix, I mean, it was like, again, I'll go through my notes to tell what they had because it was a pretty beefy show in terms of the number of things they showed. They had the new Guardians of the Galaxy game, which a part of me will always be skeptical about Square doing a Marvel game after what happened with Avengers. So, even though the game looks pretty solid, I'm going to naturally approach it with some type of tentative uncertainty. Though, I got very happy when they revealed in the footage that it's going to be a single-player game and not another live service. Thank you. So, I mean, hopefully it'll be better than Avengers. That's not exactly a high bar to reach. All it has to do is be functional, and we're in for something. But, like, joking cynicism aside, it does look decent. It looks like it'll be a fun game. I just, I'm gonna be skeptical because Avengers was a big poo-poo truck. So it is what it is.
A dump truck. if you will.
But then almost immediately after that, the show just a dump truck, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Not even.
But
a
like
dump
almost
truck,
immediately
one of
after that, the
those,
show just kind of like,
one of those like Tonka trucks that for kids. That's what it was.
Yes.
oh god, yeah, like really, really bad. Just, ugh. Hopefully, Guardians will be better. I'm really hoping Guardians of the Galaxy ends up being better than
Okay, wait,
Avengers.
I have a
Again, it's
question
not a
about
high bar to
Guardians.
reach. All they have to do is, God.
Oh, just that. Is anyone else a little disappointed that you're only playing a Star-Lord?
That was another thing that I thought was weird too. Like, thank you for bringing that up because I was like, I thought I had missed it because like I was writing notes as I was listening, so like I was like there might be things I missed, but I thought I heard them say you only play as Star-Lord, and I was like, really?
It's odd.
And I was like, maybe it's because I'm wondering if maybe it's because I don't know if any of you guys played Avengers. If you haven't, don't keep it that way. But Avengers is one of those games where like every hero has like a slight quirk that makes them different, but it's not really much. Like they mostly play the same.
Yeah.
So I'm
Right.
wondering if only yeah. So I'm wondering if maybe they only want to play as Star-Lord because they don't want to like have
Right.
to worry about trying to add a quirk for each character or something like that. I mean, granted, I still would have liked to play as Rocket because I love Rocket Raccoon,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Or they could,
maybe that's
just,
what
like,
it is.
try
Maybe
and,
they're
like,
kind of
make them,
thinking
like,
about
different. That could be something that they could
Yeah.
do. But
I
yeah,
don't
but why do something like that?
But also, like, I do feel like the MCU has given, people this impression that Star-Lord is the main character of the Guardians. Like, and I just, it's not true. So it's like, why
Yeah.
Star-Lord? Like, why not Rocket as the protagonist? Like, they could have picked any of them.
They're all pretty even-handed in the comics. I know Drax
Right.
has like way more to do. Drax is just like cooler. Gamora's, I'm pretty sure she is like considered the best like hand-to-hand fighter in like Marvel comics in general. I'm pretty sure she's like unmatched on that front at least. Yeah, I don't know much about Rocket or Groot. I think Groot's still just a tree. They don't really do too much with Groot. But
I am Groot.
Rude.
but yeah,
I'm good.
I know like those three, like Drax, Gamora, and I guess Star-Lord all have like a lot more to do than what is given in their MCU counterparts. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just it's a strange
I mean, we'll
decision.
see. It is weird. I mean, again, I don't know. The game looks decent, but I'm always gonna have Avengers popping up in the back of my head with it. Then after that, the show pretty much kind of downturned almost immediately. Not almost immediately, because they announced that Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, which was kind of, even as someone who's not a Final Fantasy guy, I thought that was a cool idea to like have a remaster with all six of the originals. Even though it's weird that it's only on Steam and mobile, like not even like Switch or something like that. I thought that was weird. Then they showed off the Legend of Mana remake, which is coming out soon, so it was just kind of like an obligatory throw it in kind of trailer. Some more Avenger stuff. Again, I give them credit for the fact that they're still trying with that game. But then they talked about a Hitman mobile game, a Nier mobile game, 3 Final Fantasy mobile games. They really like mobile games. And then Babylon's Fall. That's the noise I'm going to make with that because, full disclosure, I very much enjoy Platinum games. I love the Bayonetta games. I enjoyed Vanquish. I love Astral Chain. So this was a game I was looking forward to hearing more about. And at first I was like, oh, this looks like it'll be another very good, Platinum Games action game. It looks like it'll be solid. And then they had to go and say Babylon's Fall will be a live service game. And then all my excitement just flew right out the window. And I was just like, why Platinum doing a live service game?
Yeah.
Like, I've heard people say that it was Square kind of forcing it onto Platinum to do it, and I guess that would make sense, but even so, it's just like, not Platinum! Don't do it to them! Like,
Right.
I like Platinum a lot. I love the games they put out. Why them? So, it was just one of those things where I was like, eh. Like, the game looked fine when I was watching it, and I was like, oh, it looks like it'll probably be good. And then they said live service, and I saw someone tweet that they let out a howl of pain when they said live service, and I think I was pretty much in the exact same boat. Just like, it was just like just felt it hard. It just, And then after that, they talked at length about Life is Strange, because they're doing a Life is Strange collection, which I guess is cool for people who haven't played it, and they're doing a new entry in the series, Life is Strange True Colors, which, I mean, I'm sure for people who like Life is Strange, that's going to be pretty fun, but the presentation on it was so slow and talky, I wish it was just, like, letting the game speak for itself. They ended with that Final Fantasy Origin game, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, which, again, even as someone that doesn't really care about Final Fantasy, I thought it looked kind of cool. Like, you know, Final Fantasy action game-like thing. It wasn't, like, mind-blowing, but I was like, this actually, at least compared to a lot of the other stuff in this conference, this looks like something I will actually want to play. So, thank you, Square, for showing games that I'd actually want to play. And then, this was the one little thing at the end of the show that, like, just personally kind of, like, pissed me off a little. So, they ended the show, of course, with a sizzle reel to remind you of everything that they showed and everything they're coming out with. And they literally had, like, half-second showcases of Final Fantasy 16 and Forspoken, just so that fans wouldn't be like, it was a showcase! And I was just like, oh, you suck. Like, I was like, Forspoken especially is a game that I was really excited to see more of, and I was hoping we would. But it was just like that half-second showcase of it, and I was just like, oh, Square. So, yeah, Square show was meh. Very, very, very bad. I was just like, I don't know what happened here, but is what it is.
So as bad as the next thing. Let's discuss.
Capcom. Now again, we did this earlier, I want to do it again. I want you to time me, because I could tell you everything they talked about, again, probably in 2 minutes. Say go and I'll do it.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, Resident Evil Village Reverse Mode was talked about, and they announced new DLC without showing it. Non-gameplay trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 2. A collaboration between Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Stories 2. A long gameplay showing for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And then some esports stuff.
18
Done.
seconds.
Capcom, everybody.
Yay.
There you go. That was Capcom's show in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I don't even think we need to talk any more about it other than
Yeah. Other than
it was literally they could have, it didn't even need to be a showcase. They could have just sent an email newsletter with these announcements. That's how tiny it was.
Like Comic Sans bullet points in the email, not even a separate like Word document, just in the email.
This is what's coming out.
I get that they don't have anything big to show because they just did Monster Hunter Rise and they just did 8, and those are, like, to be fair, those are pretty big games, but I don't know. I was expecting a little better than this.
Yeah, because I was like, the thing is, like, I get that point too. And, you know, I want to cut slack to every developer because, you know, with COVID and with the Cyberpunk effect, there are a lot of companies who probably just have projects that are not close to being ready to show. So I want to cut slack on that. But why are you going to have an E3 showcase if you have nothing to show?
Yeah.
Like, it just seems pointless to me. So,
just a waste of time.
But let's not waste any more of our time on Capcom. Let's finally get to Nintendo, which,
you don't
like
wanna,
I said,
you don't want to talk about
I'm about to go full.
You don't want to discuss Take-Two?
All I'll say about Take-Two is I like the idea of what they were going for with that showcase as, like, a panel on diversity and inclusivity, but when you say Take-Two is having a panel, everyone's going to expect to see Grand Theft Auto 6. So, if it's not there, people are going to be mad.
Yeah.
That's at least all I could say about Take-Two. But no, we're going to finally get to Nintendo, because, again, I'm about to go full Nintendo fanboy. I loved Nintendo Showcase to bits. I had so much fun watching it. Before we even get into the announcements, Layla did an article talking about several of the announcements from the show that's on the GamerKit website, and you guys can definitely check that out for a little bit of a sum up of some of the stuff. But again, I'll just go in chronological order to talk about. Yeah. So, first thing they showed, of course, was the new Smash Ultimate character. Obviously, Smash is my favorite series, so I was ready to see that. And the new character is Kazuya from Tekken, which I thought that was just a cool-ass character announcement. I was just, like, I've said this before when it comes to Smash DLC, but, like, since Smash is that franchise that is so prone to, like, getting leaked out before stuff gets announced, I always like when the character is like a curveball that no one saw coming and it wasn't leaked. No one could have predicted it.
Yeah.
So when Kazuya was announced, I was like, oh, this is cool. Especially because if a Tekken character made it into the game, a lot of people were expecting that it was going to be Heihachi.
Yeah.
So seeing Kazuya was like oh, neat. Like, I personally don't even play Tekken, but I was like, that seems cool. And watching the gameplay of him, I was like, oh, yeah, I like this character. He seems like he's going to be fun.
Like when they got to that scene where they were fighting, like he was fighting, it looked like Street Fighter.
Yeah, pretty much, because like Tekken and Street Fighter kind of, I think, similar in a way. And like, I think Kazuya does look like he looks like he plays like Ryu and Ken, but with a little bit more technical stuff to him. So
yeah,
that's very cool. Can't wait for that. He's probably going to be coming out at the end of the month, and I am so ready, because Smash is Smash, and Smash is awesome. Couple other lighter things. They announced that all those Life is Strange games from Square Enix's show are coming to the Switch, and as someone who lived through the poopy era of the Wii U where there was no third-party games, I think just seeing third-party games come to the Switch makes the Nintendo fan in me happy, so cool. They had a little sizzle reel with a few light games, and they announced that Guardians of the Galaxy is also coming to the Switch. It is a cloud version, but, you know, at least it's coming to the Switch at all. That's neat. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I don't know what it is. I've never really played the series.
Super Monkey Ball
I've never really played the series, but I'm just, there's something in me where I get so happy to see Super Monkey Ball come back because it was gone for so long.
Yeah.
So there's something in me that's just always so happy when I see, like, oh, Monkey Ball's back. Like, there's a new Monkey Ball game or, like, a remake of the Monkey Ball games. So seeing them release, like, a collection of some type with all these Monkey Ball games in it, I was just like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, this might be the thing that makes me want to, like, get a Monkey Ball game finally. Like, it's just always one of those things where I'm like, this is a franchise I like seeing do well. So I'm just like, I'm glad to see that come back.
It's also
then there was Mario Party Superstars. Oh, it is?
Yeah,
of Monkey Ball?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's
I'm glad they didn't waste. That's cool though. I'm glad they didn't waste the 20th anniversary. Then there was Mario Party Superstars, which this was getting kind of like leaked and rumored for a while that they were going to do like a Super Mario Party 2, which I was cool with because Super Mario Party is one of the better Mario Party games that I've played in a while. And this one looks like it's bringing some neat little new stuff to the formula. I think they said that there's going to be like a bunch of old boards from like the N64 Mario Party games, which is like pretty cool, very neat throwback going on there. And all the boards in the game are going to be playable online as well, so that's great because like Super Mario Party, they added online to it, but it was like very late and it was kind of like small. So it's nice that they're kind of going deeper with that with this new game. And it's Mario Party, so it's going to be fun. You're going to have a good time when you're not ripping your friends' throats.
Yeah.
It's like
and then, yeah. big time destroys friendships. So there was that, and then the big one, Metroid Dread. Just thank you for a new Metroid game. Thank you for new Metroid coming out this year. A proper Metroid 5. And I think the thing I keep thinking about with this game that makes it so significant to me is that Metroid Dread is a name that's been getting used and thrown around by Nintendo since 2005. It was originally going to be a DS Metroid game way back then. And for a while, it's been one of those games that like everyone was like, is it actually happening? Are they ever going to do it? Or is it canceled?
Yeah.
And now, here it is. It's back as a game for the Switch. It's coming out this year. A proper return to the 2D platformer Metroid games. It looks great. So it's one of those things where a lot of us are just like, thank you, Nintendo. I think that was the point. This was, when they showed Metroid Dread, it was about 15 minutes into the show. They got there, and I was just like, Nintendo wins. They could show Poopy the rest of the way, and I'm happy because new Metroid.
Is this going to be separate from the Metroid Prime 4 that they had announced?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, because Prime is its own separate thing.
Right,
The main Metroid games are like the 2D platformer.
Consolidated into just one thing.
All they said about Prime 4 in the show is they're hard at work on it, because of course they had to say that. Because the way they introduced it was like, hey, we're hard at work on Prime 4, and while we can't show it today, we've got something else to show you. And it was Metroid 5, which later became Metroid Dread. So it was cool, and that was something I was very happy about. They had a little sizzle reel with Just Dance 2022 and a new cruising game. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is coming to the Switch. I never actually got to play Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, but I heard it was pretty good. I'm not a huge Dragon Ball guy, but I do just love to play video games and franchises I'm not crazy about, like Dragon Ball FighterZ is awesome. So, I mean, at least now I'll have a chance to, so that's fun. Showed more of Mario Golf Super Rush, which it's coming out very soon, so I just figured they would just kind of like throw it in there to remind people, but that game still looks way better than I could have expected. I did not think it was going to look as good as it does, but it does. Monster Hunter Stories 2, they actually showed gameplay of, which I thought was funny because they showed more gameplay here than Capcom did in their showcase. And now that I saw the gameplay, it actually looked good, so thank you for that. And a new WarioWare game. I'm going to be fully honest, I love the WarioWare series. I grew up with WarioWare. I've played WarioWare Touched on the DS and WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Wii more times than I can count. So I love WarioWare, and I'm so happy it's finally coming to the Switch, and that it has that cool little multiplayer stuff too.
Yeah, it looks like
that one, that was an announcement that for me was just like, yeah, I'm just like, I know obviously Metroid Dread was like the big thing for everyone at E3, but for me, new WarioWare was like that me thing, just like, oh my god, like a new WarioWare game on the Switch. I'm so happy because I grew up with so many of the WarioWare games and I love them. So I was just like, yay, new WarioWare. Just like the little kid in me got so excited. Then they had Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I thought was cool because even though I don't really play SMT or Persona, that's a game that, you know, they announced that back at the Switch reveal event in 2017, and then we're mostly pretty quiet on it. So it's one of those things where I'm happy to see it kind of resurface, and you know, fans are finally getting it. It's coming out this year, so that made me happy. I'm happy that fans are finally going to get a chance to play the game, and it looks good. So cool stuff. Danganronpa Decadence. Now I'll say this about Danganronpa: I don't know anything about the series. But I'm even though I graduated college, my college's game club, even though I graduated college, my video game club at my college, they still let me join the game club because, you know, they like me. Aw, that's so sweet. But I have several people in that game club that absolutely love Danganronpa. It's like all they talk about. So I feel like now that there is a new Danganronpa on the Switch and that all the other games are coming to the Switch, they are going to be yelling at me for weeks to play Danganronpa. So, can't wait. Cannot wait for that. But, After that, Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater. That was a game that came out on the Wii U a while back, and I never got to try it, but it always looked cool. Like the Wii U didn't really have a lot of horror games, so I always thought that game deserved a lot better on the Wii U, so I'm happy it's now getting another chance on the Switch. Hopefully now I could finally try it out because it looks quite good. Another short little sizzle reel. They announced that the Doom Eternal Ancient Gods expansion is coming to the Switch version, and that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is coming out to Switch this month. Just want to say Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is awesome. If you haven't played it, play it. And if you have a Switch and you want to play it, play it. Such a cool game. Then they had another, thing for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, just to be like, hey, it's here. Remember we showed this a couple days ago. But it still looks good, so that's cool. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. If you asked me before E3 if Nintendo was going to bring Advance Wars back, I might have honestly laughed at you. So the fact that they actually are bringing it back was such a cool thing. I don't usually play these types of games, but it does look really, really cool. And again, that's another moment of just like, a lot of Nintendo fans have been asking for years for Nintendo to make a new Wars game, a new Advance Wars, a new Battalion Wars, something like that. So the fact that it's here, good news. And then the rest of the show was it was dedicated to Zelda, because they had the expansion pass for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. That game is already long as hell as it is, so the fact that they're adding an expansion pass to the new Hyrule Warriors, I'm like, well, more game on top of the big game. But Hyrule Warriors 2 is actually a great game, so it's cool that that's getting more content. They announced, they showed some more about the Skyward Sword HD re-release, just a reminder of like, yeah, it's happening. They announced that they're doing a cute little Game & Watch thing that's going to have Zelda 1, 2, and Link's Awakening on it. So that's kind of, it's definitely a cool little collector's thing to have. And then to close out the show, I didn't think they'd do it, but they did it. They showed Breath of the Wild 2. Yep. I was very happy. I didn't know if they were going to. I kept getting nervous, like, no, they're not going to do it. Like, there's a good chance they won't do it.
Yeah.
But they did it, and it looks awesome, and I'm happy. Yeah. Breath of the Wild was the first, like, mainline Zelda game that I actually, like, beat, and it's awesome. I can't wait for a new one.
Yeah, it was
Were you about to say something?
It's such a good game because it, like, what I've heard from other fans is people who even weren't really big Zelda fans. Like, I've been playing Zelda since the first one came out. I've been playing Zelda for years, and just this one, Breath of the Wild, is like something that everybody can play. It's not just, oh, you're a diehard Zelda fan. It's like something everyone is able to play, and that's what makes it so enjoyable. Is that anyone can play it. Like, even if you've not really played this whole series before, or you've never really gotten into it. Yeah. That's what I like about this.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I like that
for sure.
that the puzzles are, I would say, accessible. Like, I found in past Zelda games that, like, I would get extremely lost in the dungeons, or I would just not be able to figure out what to do without some kind of guide, and I really don't like looking things up. It really makes me feel like garbage. So, I don't consider myself, like, not intelligent. Like, some of those puzzles were like, what on earth were you guys thinking when you made this? But
I agree, because I was just gonna say, because like outside of Breath of the Wild, the only other Zelda game that I've beaten so far, I plan to play the others, but the only one that I've beaten so far is Twilight Princess. And I still had to look up a guide for a lot of those dungeons. And a lot of the reviews I read were like, the dungeons are easier than the other Zelda games. And I was like, easier? What? I think Breath of the Wild was way more accessible in that regard, especially because it had that whole thing where if you're really feeling ballsy and adventurous enough, you could just run right to Calamity Ganon in your underwear.
Yeah.
So, there you have it.
Yeah.
But it's genuinely a great game. Breath of the Wild's awesome, so I was very excited for Breath of the Wild 2, and now getting to finally see it, I was just like, oh. Like, so that was great. That was a great way to end off the show.
It looked like they're doing some more stuff with Skyloft, it looked like, in Breath of the Wild 2, it looked like you like go through like a decayed, like old like version of Skyloft in the trailer. Um, I noticed too there wasn't much in the way it wasn't like with the initial trailer like way back. There wasn't any, and a lot of people were speculating how the like ghost hand was tied to like the Twilight Realm and like all that stuff. There wasn't any of that in this trailer, I noticed. So I don't know if they're trying to. I'm wondering like what the lore significance of this one in particular is going to be versus like all the like previous.
Yeah, I wonder that. I wonder that too, because I'll be honest, I'm not like deep into the Zelda lore because from what I understand, it's just really confusing to follow. But like,
there's a couple different timelines.
I know a lot of people were pointing out a lot of connections. Yeah, people were pointing out a lot of connections with Skyward Sword with this particular trailer and stuff like that. And I also don't know what the connection is because right now we're sitting here calling it Breath of the Wild 2, but Nintendo's basically confirmed that the game's not going to be called Breath of the Wild 2,
no,
but they're just not letting us know what the subtitle's going to be because, yeah, I mean, same here.
Breath of the Wild 2 just sounds lazy. if they actually just did that.
Right.
Like they've kind of confirmed at this point that it's going to have a different subtitle, but that they just haven't
figured it out yet.
Said what it is because I believe it's going to. I think it's going to carry big significance into the story, and it's also going to potentially be spoilery. Yeah. So I don't know if they actually said spoilery, but it's going to carry some kind of significance within the story. So as it is, I could see why they don't want to reveal the name of it yet. I think we've all just been calling it the sequel to Breath of the Wild or Breath of the Wild 2, but obviously it's not going to be called that. So I'm sure the title, when the title is revealed, it's going to basically say what kind of Zelda lore significance this has. I'm not sure.
Return of Twilight or something, just so obvious.
Like
oh, okay. Like
it genuinely would not surprise me if the title of the game is not revealed until the day before it comes out.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Like I don't think they'll actually do that, but it would be funny if they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I mean it could just be Legend of Zelda Ganon rehydrated. H2O just add water. Like
oh my god, that would be great. Ganon rehydrated.
Because I don't even think I think that they are drawing heavy inspiration from Skyward Sword because now that like Ganon, especially after Twilight Princess, Ganondorf's body like is dead, so like the Calamity Ganon stuff, that's all like demise from Skyward Sword, and like all the purple ooze I believe is demise, which goes back to the initial trailer where it was like the ghost hand kind of covering his like stab wound or whatever, like kind of keeping demise in like his place. I think that's because the mummy is Ganondorf, but I think the purple stuff is demise. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah,
it'll be like people. I know there was like some speculation if like Ganondorf's gonna like be all like cool with you now because he wants to like kill Demise or something. It's all speculation, but I would like to see some more Twilight based stuff because Twilight Princess was probably my favorite one.
Twilight's a great game.
Yeah.
Right. I would like
Twilight's awesome.
No, you can go.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say I love Twilight Princess, so you can go ahead.
No, my thing was just I do hope if they go with the Breath of the Wild sequel and that it's a open world game, they fix pretty much the only problem I had with Breath of the Wild, which is there is not a game after you kill Ganondorf. I hate that stuff so much.
It's very like shallow, right?
Right.
Like,
I don't know. Like I get that it's hard to like do that. I understand from a coding standpoint that that's difficult. But I genuinely find that extremely annoying, so please.
I was going to say, I also wonder if it's because of that thing that they always do with every Zelda game where when you beat it, you're just kind of worked back to like the moment before you defeat Ganon, so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's like it's hard, especially with an adventure type of game, because the whole point of the game is to beat the final boss. So if you beat the final boss, there is fundamentally no point left to the rest of the game. Like, I don't even know, because if you kill Ganon first, can you even do the big walking dungeons that all look the same?
I think you can. I mean, when I beat Ganon, I didn't go back afterwards, so I'm not.
It doesn't like mean anything, right? Like it doesn't.
No, it doesn't mean anything. Like you get loaded to your last
No.
save or whatever, something like that. Which
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
I hate that kind of thing. But I get it. But I do think there is a game after the game, and that game is find and kill all of the monsters, hunt them for sport, and just absolutely slaughter everything. Like that is the game after the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I only hope they add something like that. And like everyone's saying, take away the whole weapon breaking stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was
that was
just weird.
It's just unnecessary. Like it's why?
I think it's because
I was like, I feel like
world game. It's hard. It's a lot harder in that sense to tie in specific, because you can go anywhere. A lot of items in past games were tied to specific areas, so you use them in the subsequent area. But if you can go anywhere, you can't tailor items and like new weapons and stuff to the next area because they don't know what the next area you're going to pick is. But then you just run into like a bunch of random garbage that you just have carrying around, and it's just like it doesn't have the same, because you know what it is? It's because they're not tied to specific areas, and because you can just use them wherever, whenever, they don't have as much meaning. Like all of those like side weapons. And that's the trade-off that you have to like balance. And I think the whole durability thing, like especially the Master Sword like having durability, at least initially upon release, that was so dumb. Like it's just like the whole point of this
I feel like it was
supposed to be like the strongest sword, and there's swords that are like way stronger than it, and it's just like no, like that doesn't.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's different, but I feel like they just added it for the sake of being different and not because it needed to be there.
That's the thing, though. I don't know what they would do.
I 100% agree.
I get what.
Yeah,
exactly. Get that perspective, but you know, when you play like a Skyrim or whatever, you know, something like that, which I guess is a similar enough game. Generally, their way of handling it is they will just give you like 8,000 garbage steel swords, and then maybe eventually you find like the cool Draugr or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if
I was gonna say, I feel
made
like
them like randomly genned with like different enchantments and stuff on them to make them like better.
Right, like at the first section, all you're going to find basically is garbage, and then as you get further and further, maybe you start finding good things.
But again, that runs into the problem of being able to
I was going to say, if
it was tied to like a leveling system, then instead of like, exploration.
Or instead of some kind of crafting thing, like if you get some amount of this sword and some amount of this thing and some amount of this thing, you can craft a better version or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like like you guys said, the only way that I could think of them doing the trade-off, if they want to keep weapon durability in the next game, I feel like the best way they could do it is just make sure there's an abundance enough of weapons that you can acquire, so that could be the trade-off. So it's like, well, at least you won't constantly feel like you're shit out of luck.
But that's still,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
that still makes each weapon like less significant.
I
think actually a good way to tie it into gameplay without adding too much, like a whole like leveling system, is they could have it tied to your health, your weapon drops tied to your health.
Oh,
because that's an accurate measure of your strength at that time. So within each threshold, it has the chance to drop like a certain type of weapon or something.
I mean, if this game works the same as, or at least similar to how Breath of the Wild, then I think it would need to be some combination of health and stamina.
Yeah.
Because,
That's
yeah.
true. Yeah. But like once you
that's a good one.
Rather than having it like based on like random like areas and stuff,
Right.
Yeah, I just think it would make
Yeah,
it more impactful again. Yeah.
for sure.
But Layla, you're big into Zelda. You were just talking about Breath of the Wild. What would you think would be a good means of balancing the game potentially differently for the future?
I think if they made it like Bowser's Fury, like that's what I loved about Bowser. What I loved about Bowser's Fury is just like how it was shorter, but it was like you can go anywhere to defeat things. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you did that with Breath of the Wild, I feel like it would make it better. Like you said, like Rebecca said, I feel like where instead of making it linear, like a linear game, it would be like, okay, now I can go this way first or go to this first, and then like you're still able to collect things and do the and like continue to.
Right.
Word.
Yeah, and I
I
think
also
that would
like
be good because like just sorry, I was just gonna say like from my perspective, I beat the game, but I kind of got through it like not fast, but like I didn't really go for like I didn't get a bunch of hearts. I didn't get like super duper crazy stamina boost. I kind of just mostly went after the. I didn't go for all the shrines. I just kind of like did the divine beasts and then went on to fight Calamity Ganon. So like you could like tether the game based on like who does what, like that what kind of approach the person takes within the game.
Yeah.
So like, if someone just kind of tries to run through, maybe it's going to be a little bit harder for them. But if someone really takes their time, then they get to reap the benefits of spending all that time within the game.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, what were you saying, Layla?
I wonder if like instead of playing as Link, or like, I wonder if like you can just always play as Zelda. Like I like that they're starting to take the turn of making Zelda the person that's played because I don't know, I feel like it's interesting to have her. So the person that's fighting, but I feel
Yeah,
like she
there
doesn't have
have
as much. She doesn't have as much like leverage as like obviously Link does because there's a lot of different things, more things he can do than what
Well,
she can
she
do.
has a lot of like magic powers, but they're not explored as
yeah.
much within the games just because you're playing as Link. But no, she can do like a lot of stuff. Again, it's just since she's not the player character, you're not exposed to it as much.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I've
think
been hearing rumors that this game might have Zelda be playable in some way, which I guess would be interesting and be different. But I guess I'd like to see how they do that, how they can make Zelda interesting to play in the same way that Link is, given that Zelda is kind of inherently more limited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just make her a mage. I think that would be
firstly, yeah. I would say firstly, I would love Zelda games to like mix up the trio a little bit. Have Link be the bad guy for one, have Zelda be the bad guy for one. Just mix things up a little bit.
Ganon's the Herald of Wisdom. Like that'd be
Yeah, like
hilarious.
just throw everyone in a pot and see what happens. That'll be fun.
The
But
Legend of Ganon.
Yeah.
exactly. But I would also, I think I would like to see Zelda as a true playable character, but I would also like to, and this might not be a reference that everybody gets, but do y'all remember in Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, the sections where you could play as Princess Peach? I would like that specifically for Zelda.
Mm.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm pointing profusely because I agree. Yes.
Yeah, that's a shame. I never played that, so I wouldn't have any insight. But
You brought a good.
Thousand Year Door is
Layla, what were you
really
saying?
good.
Nope. I keep interrupting. I feel like bad. Um, but in Bowser's Fury, you can also play with you have like Koopa Bowser Jr. as like your helper, pretty much. It's like
Yeah.
imagine if Ganon was the helper for Link.
Yeah, that'd be
It
really
was kind of
funny.
like to be like
Yeah, I mean,
this is where you have to go. This is what you have to do. Like kind of like
Oh yeah,
that
really mix things up. Let's have Navi as the
Yeah.
player character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Navi's powers are instead of attacking, all you hear is "Hey!"
listen, hey, over
Listen.
here. I what actually came to mind immediately when you guys were saying, for me at least, to make like Zelda a playable character. And this, I don't know if the recent Devil May Cry's did this, but in like 2 and 3, I believe, 1, 2, or 3, you could play separate campaigns as Virgil or Dante. So
Right.
what you
Yeah,
could
I'm pretty
do,
sure 4 and 5 also do
yeah,
that.
you could do that with yeah, Legend of Zelda from now on, and then you could have um, them go on like two separate campaigns, and then the ending culminates in like the final Ganon fight or whatever, where you have to like work together with the respective other in the same way that yeah, that's like Resident Evil. That's like Resident Evil 2
Yeah.
and stuff. So they could totally go that. I
Or-
think that's absolutely
Yeah, because I was
possible.
going to say, DMC had different campaigns for different characters, but it also had like campaigns where you switch off between
Right.
characters and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like DMC 5 did that
Yeah.
with like yet a 3-character campaign in the main campaign. So you could do that.
I feel like
You could
that-
do like
yeah.
a one campaign with multiple.
I just feel like that'd be like a really organic way of having. I love how we're just like game devs now. Of having what's it called?
We should. Be,
It would
yeah.
be a yeah, right. It would be a good way of covering the bases without anyone feeling left out, without like a party feeling left out.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
Turn Zelda into Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh
I know.
man, you can play the hero story. You can play the dark story.
Yeah,
Oh wait, it actually works perfectly because yeah, you could play Ganon's story and as the
Ganon story.
dark side story, just
that'd be
like
funny.
Sonic.
Oh.
All right, so
That'd
Breath
be
of the
really
Wild
cool.
2 is going to be Sonic Adventure 2.
Yes,
Solve it.
but
I figured it out.
but yeah, I think that was it for Nintendo, right? I
Yeah.
believe, unless anything.
Yeah,
else
that
big
they
came
ended with Breath of the Wild 2.
But I just wanted to close
They
out with
did
something.
that and they won.
What's up, Leo?
This is,
Go ahead.
you can see, I don't like how PlayStation 5 and like all Xbox even has to keep releasing things. Nintendo has not released their next, like, people were annoyed that Nintendo didn't release their next version of the Switch because they keep saying that they're going to, and then but it's like, why do they have to? Because they're already doing so well with what they have, so they're just like, I'm just gonna release the Game and Watch and just like the
Yeah.
Game and Watch like Legend
You're
of
right.
Zelda and just like, kind of like chill because everyone's still gonna buy our shit no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep thinking with Nintendo, the thing that I think is like funny about this conference is, you know, we're over here saying Nintendo wins or like they had the best conference. I think what makes me laugh about this showcase is, and I'm not saying this thing is a bad thing at all, but it felt like Nintendo won E3 with what felt like their AA lineup as opposed to their AAA lineup. Because like the big games this E3 were like Mario Party, WarioWare, like games that are a little bit smaller scale. Like when you think of what they didn't show this E3, there was like no Bayonetta 3, no Metroid Prime 4, no Pokemon Legends Arceus, no Splatoon 3.
Pokemon
Like those are
Legends.
their big AAA games. We didn't see them. Yeah, we didn't see them, and yet Nintendo still had such a strong conference. And I'm just like, I think that just tells me, and again, this is the totally biased Nintendo fan. You see my Nintendo poster here just like coming out of me, but I'm like, I feel like it's just like a sign that Nintendo's B tier lineup can still go toe to toe with a lot of other companies' A tier lineups or something like that. Or that just, even with their B tier games, Nintendo is just really good at reminding people of why video games are so fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but also it's like a lot of this year was a lot of the what do you call it? A lot of the anniversaries, milestones, like for Zelda, for Mario, for well, they didn't show
Metroid.
Pokemon, which is like actually should have showed Pokemon Legends, but I think that's what they were going to focus on, is the fact that these not as like not obviously not AAA games are obviously still like, hey, this is what everyone's still buying, like
Yeah.
or should buy.
Right. I don't know.
I mean, it could be that. Because, like, this year in particular, like, 2021 is the anniversary of, like, Zelda, Pokemon, Metroid, and Donkey Kong,
Yeah.
so doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
It's gonna be crazy year for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like,
And I'm
Nintendo just, like-
surprised.
Like,
Sorry, I was just gonna say I'm surprised there wasn't any like Donkey Kong Country whatever thing too.
That's weird. That's weird because there was a guy, he's like, I guess an insider that like leaked out a lot of games Nintendo was working on this year, and quite a few things he got right. He was right about the 2D Metroid, he was right about Mario Party, stuff like that. he said they were working on a new Donkey Kong Country game, but we didn't see it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's actually happening or if he just, like, was misinformed or what, but I like Donkey Kong Country a lot, so I hope we get a new Donkey Kong Country game. But it's crazy because I'm also thinking of it like all the new first party games that they announced, like Metroid, WarioWare, the Advance Wars, the Mario Party, all that stuff that they showed during this showcase. What makes it even crazier for me is that all of these games are all coming out in 2021. So I'm like, that's crazy that they just have this lineup already for 2021, and that we still have like Bayonetta 3, Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, Splatoon 3, Pokemon Legends Arceus, all like still in the background for like 2022 and beyond. I'm like, Nintendo is just like doing well with their first party lineup, and as a huge Nintendo fan, that's something where it always just like warms my heart to see. I'm always just excited when Nintendo is just doing well and putting out so many great games. So like just seeing them pop off like this, I'm like, yeah. So thank you, Nintendo, for saving E3, and thank you also.
Thank you for saving E3. Nintendo.
Thank you, Nintendo and Xbox.
Yeah. Now, do you want to be
Nintendo and Xbox for saving E3?
Do you want to be timed for? I think the literal only thing Bandai Namco showed.
You don't need to time me. All they did was show Dark Pictures Anthology or whatever, which I kind of skipped over that because that series has just never interested me.
Yeah.
It's so sad because the company that makes it, they like struck gold with Until Dawn because that game was awesome, and it feels like everything they've made since has been like at best. So when they were like, oh, we're dedicating our whole showcase to that, I was kind of like, skip, bye.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's Until Dawn was also really good because they had all of those incredible actors in
had, like,
the game,
actual actors.
Like they've never been able to match that. Like Rami Malek as a main character, that's huge.
Yeah, and he was obviously insane in the game. Like his performance was awesome.
I'm still waiting for their DVD crossover. It has to happen. They have to put a Wendigo in DVD. It needs to happen. Everyone has literally been bugging them for like years to just put in like a Wendigo or something into DVD. And they're like, we're gonna make man that bounce off wall and hit you. And it's like sick, dog.
Still,
that's exactly
it's still like I still can't believe they're putting in Nemesis instead of Mr. X. I genuinely like, what is that?
Oh yeah. I still don't I haven't finished 2 or played 3. So I don't know, is Nemesis just like a gross version of Mr. X? I know they're like functionally the same, or they serve functionally the same purpose, but I'm saying like, are they like the same character? Is Nemesis just battle damaged Mr. X? Because I don't know.
I haven't played the series. I've only watched my brother play it, but I'm pretty sure he said that that's kind of what Nemesis is. I think all I know is he's like Nemesis is no Mr. X. Okay. So that's all I know. I don't know, but you saying that they should put a Wendigo in DVD is something that like genuinely needs to happen.
Yes.
One, just because Until Dawn is a great game.
Yes.
But unfortunately,
Until Dawn is just a really, really solid game.
Yeah, but I don't think they should call it that. Not just because of obvious. In the intervening years since Until Dawn, Native people have come out more and more against just using that word wildly.
Oh,
it would have to be like what an accurate Wendigo like is, which is just like.
But also one of the issues is that apparently in actual like Wendigo lore, if you say the word Wendigo too many times, it will come and kill you like Beetlejuice, which I don't super want that.
I don't think anything's happening right now.
No, but you know what I mean. Like,
I think just kidding.
That was so delayed. Yeah. That looked bizarre on our end because we just got this like crazy like voice with you just like sitting back
crazy,
like
just
this.
That
was really like weird.
ASMR and shit.
Yeah.
I am very sorry about that in that case.
No, that's fine. But
I mean, regardless, I would like to see like something of Until Dawn in DVD. I'm surprised it wasn't there. I wonder if the question I have is, does the company that made that game own the rights to the IP, or does Sony own it? And would Behavior Interactive have to go through Sony to put that in, or can they just do it with I don't know the name of the company, Supermassive or something, but would they have to go? Yeah.
Even if Sony owns it, however, they could do a little, what I like to call legal trickery of the Herlock Sholmes point, where they just don't say it's from Until Dawn, and they just call it Cannibal, and they just, everybody knows what it is, and they just pretend.
Since you mentioned that they'd have to use a different name, you could pretty much do that. Just make it look like what they look like in Until Dawn. Just give it a different name, and people are like, "Oh well, hey, it's Until Dawn."
Dude, it doesn't even have to look like the one from Until Dawn. In general, I've been telling my friends I want more like folklore-based monsters. I just think that would be, I just think it'd be more interesting. In general,
like a Mothman.
Yeah, sure, or like. Mothman's kind of corny, but like something like I want like monsters. That's why to me like what was it? Like what's an example of something that's not scary?
I mean, I personally would give
the Trickster or whatever. Like was the intent, and not just because of the K-pop angle. I don't care about that, but like just like so not a monster. It's just like, dude. And I'm just like, that is not at all the aesthetic I'm interested in for this. And it's fine. Like, if you're into that, that's fine. But for me, it's like, I want some, like, balls to the wall, like, monsters that look like they will, like, murder you, like, really hard. And,
I would...
No, I mean, yeah,
what were you saying?
That makes sense because I think, I'll let Rebecca go first.
Oh, I just wanted to say,
God.
I would first of all give literally anything for them to figure out how to put Baba Yaga into Dead by Daylight.
Oh yeah,
literally anything.
Exactly.
Like that would be so cool. But also, I don't know if you watched the movie It Follows, but the It Follows monster would also be a great pick for Dead by Daylight because it could have like Spy from TF2 kind of like pretending to be one of the survivors to trick you kind of stuff.
That's what they had wanted to do with Legion initially, and then they just scrapped it, and now Legion's like literally bottom tier. So, yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't understand their thought process often, and they seem to. Go for it.
I was just gonna say, I think that putting in like folklore monsters would be good because I feel like at this point, DBD. I mean, I don't really play it that religiously. I've only really played it when we streamed it, but like just from what I've seen, it seems like they've already done enough of the like love letter to horror franchises kind of things. So like adding in like folklore monsters seems like it could just be the next logical step.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, they still got to put Alien in there. That should just happen.
Okay. Sorry, guys, my computer's dying, so I have to go.
Oh, you're fine. I think how many more conferences did we have to get through anyway? I think we're almost done, right?
We're pretty much done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could be done.
Okay.
We were just too busy shooting the breeze about DVD.
But no.
Yeah, I got distracted.
No, that's fine. But no, I think we covered pretty much everything, or everything of note at least.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Did anyone have any closing remarks regarding the conferences, etc.?
Nintendo's the best.
Yeah, basically all my closing remarks are thank you Nintendo, thank you Xbox. Everyone else, go away.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Those are
good. Basically, PlayStation, go away.
Yeah, there you go. Those are very.
I can't wait for Resident Evil 8 to win Game of the Year. It seems like that's the only thing that's gonna come out.
Yeah, that's.
Jeez.
Well,
that's
no, wait. I mean, genuinely, I think Ratchet and Clank could contend, and also It Takes Two. Like those are two games I think would be genuinely
good.
They're not gonna get it though, because the games like refuse. Like I would say, technically last year.
Let a kid hope and dream.
We're gonna talk a little more. So I would say technically, last year, which should have won, or which would have been more profound and more like of an interesting win, even more so than Ghost of Tsushima. If they had made Hades win, I think that would have been
Hades won.
Yeah, I think that would have been very not just it would have given like the AA games the kind of attention they deserve, and like
Yeah,
showing that you can.
because I was gonna say
like something incredible for like not like obscene budgets or like obscene like amounts of like whatever crunch time that something like Last of Us or I don't know what the crunch culture
like I was gonna say.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Because I was going to say, Zach and I have talked at length about the fact that I actually was happy Last of Us 2 won and that was my personal game of the year last year. And, that's my hot take. I'll sit on that. But even when that was happening, I was like, if Last of Us doesn't win, I want Hades to win. Like, Hades seems like the thing. Everyone was like, Last of Us 2 versus Ghost of Tsushima. I was like, Ghost, I'm sorry, you were good, but I wouldn't put you in even like my top 10 of 2020. Let's go Last of Us versus Hades. Like, I think Hades would have deserved it. Even, like, last year, I think, I was happy Hades got nominated. I was really a part of me was sad because I was like, I hope Hades isn't being treated like the token indie game or like the token AA game. Because a part of me was like, this is a total personal opinion. Maybe not anyone will agree. If I could change the Game of the Year nominees, I would have taken out Ghost of Tsushima and I would have replaced it with Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I would have put that in there. And again, that's just me personally. Like, I don't know if anyone else would have said it would have been like their Game of the Year, but I personally would have put Ori in there. So like, I was wondering if like Ori, because a lot of people really loved Ori, so I was like, did Ori have a chance, or was it going to be stifled because Hades was the token indie or token AA game? So I was like, I don't know. Like, I would love to see that kind of stuff. And that's why part of me is just like, I hope It Takes Two and Ratchet and Clank end up getting that kind of recognition. Because Ratchet and Clank is still technically AAA by Sony standards. It Takes Two might have a tougher time, but there are a lot of people that are genuinely like, oh, this is Game of the Year. Yeah. So I'm like a part of me is just like, let a kid hope and dream that It Takes Two or Ratchet and Clank will be this year's Game of the Year.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand to discuss this indie Game of the Year stuff. In 2015, I understand everybody loved Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, great game, sure, whatever. But I still maintain that the fact that Undertale did not even get nominated is absolutely
didn't even get a nom.
insane.
Didn't get a nom, even though, like, I know this is more of a fan thing, but like a few weeks before, GameFAQs did that like bracket tournament thing determining like the greatest game ever, and like Undertale beat Ocarina of Time at the time or something like that. So it was like it was a huge deal. I remember that was the first time I even heard what Undertale was, and I was surprised that it didn't even get nominated in 2015. I don't know if it's because it like, I don't know when it came out in 2015, probably like September or something, so I don't think it missed the cutoff for being eligible for that year. So I was just kind of surprised. I was like, did this somehow just kind of slip the voters' minds or something? Yeah. Especially because, like, I don't remember everything that was nominated for Game of the Year, but I remember that year that, like, Fallout 4 got nominated, even though there were quite a few people that were like, Fallout 4 is fine, but not amazing. Yeah. So I think even at the time I was like, oh, okay, Fallout 4 got nominated. But I think I always say that every year at the Game Awards, there's always, like, that one replaceable game. I think the only time maybe that I found like a Game of the Year nominee list at the Game Awards that I couldn't find any replaceable games was probably like 2016. That was like the closest that I saw to there not being like a replaceable game. It seems like every year there's always something that could be replaced.
2016 was, let's see, Overwatch, Doom, Inside, Titanfall, Uncharted 4. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Those were all pretty good.
That's pretty much like that list right there. Like, because I was looking through with my brother. I was like, let's see how many lists I could like find a replacement game is. But I saw that one and was like, well, I can't replace these. Like, this is the one list that's not replaceable.
I mean,
So I was like,
literally,
I don't know.
if you look at the 2014 list, anything on that list is replaceable, including the actual winner of Game of the Year.
It was like, well, what? I'm gonna see if I can name it off the top of my head, but wasn't it like Inquisition, Shadow of Mordor, Hearthstone? I don't know the other two,
Bayonetta 2
but
and
that
Dark
should
Souls
tell you
2.
everything you need to know.
Hey,
Literally
Oh
any
no,
of
Bayonetta
those.
2 I think is the only one in my eyes.
Okay, fine, but you
Bayonetta
can see what they need. It's a
No,
great game, but literally
it's
any
not.
of those games could be replaced.
I was gonna say-
DS2's a meme. DS2's just hilarious.
Like, I was gonna say, just personally, Bayo 2 is one of my top 5 favorite games ever. I am not replacing Bayonetta 2 with anything. But all those other games, I think, actually, yeah, given modern, like, reputation of them and how, like, they've aged in most people's minds, yeah. Like, that is a pretty replaceable list. I think Bayonetta 2 would have been, like, the only safe game in my eyes.
Right, let's see, what else we got? Oh, man. 2017 is also kind of rough with Player Unknown Battlegrounds. Jeez.
Yeah, PUBG got
PUBG.
nominated, and I was so surprised because 2017 there were so many good games, and like there were so many that didn't get picked. I was surprised with how much people were talking about it. That like Nier Automata didn't get like Game of the Year nominated like that year, because I think it was like
Wild.
other than PUBG, I think it was like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, and Horizon. I think other than PUBG.
Yeah.
And other than like, I think I was really surprised because I was like, maybe PUBG's cool. I've never played it. You know, shout out to people who enjoy that game. But is it Game of the Year over like Nier Automata? Like a lot of people love that game.
No. To answer
I
your
don't
question, no. No, it is not.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer.
Yeah, I think after our little rant, I think this is a good time to close out. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we probably should because we moved away from the whole E3 thing and now moved to the Game Awards. So
Yeah, now we're just
It's
nonsense.
But yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for coming by and stopping by if you had the time. We always appreciate of you. So yeah, if you can, just leave a like and possibly a comment, maybe sub to the Gamer Kit. That's always greatly appreciated. And yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed our little E3 recap with extra stuff. So yeah.
with our ranting and ravings about gaming.
Yes.
It's a DLC and you don't even have to pay for it. It's great.
Exactly, it's free DLC.
Yeah, we just gave you the free DLC. You're welcome.
All right, everyone. Yeah. We'll see you next week. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Prepare to see my Streamlabs.